It was a partnership forged in the very bowels of disaster. Kathleen Kennedy and James Mangold came together for one last indie ride that should have rode them out into the sunset. Indiana Jones' The Dial of Destiny was bad enough, but Kathleen Kennedy has had just a foretaste of where she wants to go, bringing Mangold into the fold to make a Star Wars movie. And now they're telling us it will be called Jedi Prime. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds, one view at a time. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. We are prepared to deliver to you. You see folks, unlike Lucasfilm, we know what you want. You're here for the truth, and we're prepared to give it to you. Today we're talking about James Mangold, the once superb director sullied by Lucasfilm, who now is going to apparently work on a Star Wars film that could redefine the Jedi forever, starting with the very beginning, the first. Oh, and by the way, that might mean this could just be the very worst idea that Kathleen Kennedy has ever had. And boy, that is saying something. Folks, Lauren Connor's here. You know him, you love him, and we've got a panel with him too. Let's dive in to this very dangerous news. Lauren, apologies, but we have to go to the Bespin Bulletin to see what the latest rumor is. And I'm here to tell you, my sources, my contacts, who I think have been pretty darn good over the years, well, there's no confirmation on my side of this. So please understand that while this is a rumor and speculation topic, I'm not the one bringing you the rumor. This is straight out of the Bespin Bulletin. It says, is James Mangold's Star Wars movie titled Star Wars Jedi Prime? And I think there's some interesting things to talk about here, but it says in April 2023, James Mangold took to the stage at Star Wars Celebration in London and revealed that he was working on an untitled Star Wars film that he would both write and direct, which would explore the origins of the Jedi and sported the working title Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi. But do we now know the official title? Before we go any further, Lauren, after what we just watched with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, you think it's a good idea to have James Mangold and Kathleen Kennedy do a movie that sets all of the rules for Jedi from henceforth with the very first of them? You think that's a great idea, or maybe that's literally the worst possible place they could go to?
I do think this is probably the worst place that they could go to.
That's why Kathy's doing it.
Well, yeah, I think if you want to try and cement the agenda that you've been setting all this time, then this is how you would try to do that. If you can set the origin point for the Jedi and everything that goes from there, it taints everything forever. And that's kind of the problem that the sequel trilogy caused, is that it retroactively made the original movies worse. And so I think that's a problem, and that's part of why you need to get rid of the sequel trilogy. But I have my own doubts as to whether or not this project is going to go forward. This feels to me like they need to have something in the news, and so somebody's probably dropping something to someone and hoping that people start talking about it.
Well, that's sort of what I think.
If they call it this, will the May the 4th become Jedi Prime Day with special deals on merch?
I'd like a Jedi Prime rib if that's possible.
Yeah, but Banta ribs or whatever it is. I mean, really, I think the comparisons to Amazon, I think they kind of own that word, and I understand there's other people that use it, but that's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea.
Well, let's see what Bespin has to say. It says, producer Simon Emmanuel, during an interview with SFX Magazine, spoke briefly on James Mangold's upcoming untitled Star Wars flick. Emmanuel told the magazine, James Jedi Prime is set thousands and thousands of years before the original trilogy, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. And then Bespin takes that and runs with it. It says, Jedi Prime? That's not a name we've heard before in relation to the Mangold effort. As mentioned, the working title for Mangold's untitled Star Wars film has been Dawn, and has been the name that fans refer to it as, all five of them. Admittedly, I quite like the name Jedi Prime, says Bespin, and I hope somebody photoshops Optimus Prime sporting some Jedi robes and wielding a lightsaber. But it's not as good. Dawn of the Jedi in my book, and it's likely also just another working title for what some at Lucasfilm refer to the project as. Now, this goes on to talk about Jeff Snyder and what Jeff Snyder has said, which is that the Rey movie is delayed and that this James Mangold film, will slide into the Rey movie slot. Now, Jonas, we can't talk a lot about the Rey movie situation because we don't have enough to go out and do what we usually do. So, folks, we're just going to tell you, we've heard chatter. We've heard chatter about a Rey movie delay. We don't have that confirmed enough from our standpoint to bring that to you as an official pro rumor. We don't have what we suspect is sufficient evidence there, but we're hearing the chatter. We're not ignoring the chatter. We just like the track record we have, and we'd like to keep it that way. But just out of curiosity, panel, do you think after what we witnessed the last time James Mangold worked with Lucasfilm, like, why would we do this again? Why would this man do this again to himself? Why would Kathy do this to good people of America and put it out there in theaters for them to ignore? What is going on here? Not everybody at once now. Calm down, gentlemen. You'll get your turn. You'll get your turn.
I thought I was being told not to comment because I know things.
They have to play with each other because nobody else will play with them.
That's it right there.
That's a good point. Jonas, you just said that you know things and that you're not supposed to talk because you know things. What do you know, Jonas? What are you knowing down there?
What, Pro? You just told me not to say those things. Okay.
No, don't say the things that we're not supposed to say that we know.
Right. Okay. So
let's say the other things.
We'll talk about the producer on this film, Simon Emanuel, and the fact that
it's not Simon. Is it Simon?
I think it's Simon. I think he's British. Not
apologies,
French.
Simon Emanuel. Simon Emanuel. I am deeply sorry.
He was on the red carpet for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It wasn't very popular in theaters. It was a small film, minor budget. Anyhow, he was on the red carpet, and he said the next thing that he would be working on was the Rey movie, at the time referred to as the new Jedi Order film. Well, according to this article, it looks like the next thing that he's working on is actually this Jedi Prime, which Jedi Prime, to me, that sounds like an internal code name, which why would you call it that if everyone thinks it's already called Dawn of the Jedi?
I have some insight there.
Oh, okay.
They're getting the Dawn of the Jedi name from a Dark Horse comic series that dealt with the same time period. Probably has no actual connection to the comic series, but because it's in that period, 30,000 years before the main movies, that's kind of what it got labeled as. Jedi Prime is referencing the mural that was on Octu that was shown in Rian Johnson's movie, The Last Jedi. Yeah. And so they're probably trying to draw a subtle tie to that.
Genius.
Which that's the one where that's the one right before he goes out onto that precipice there where he dies of straining too hard while squatting. Anyhow, looking at the timeline here, if the Rey movie was supposed to be the next thing that he did, and then the Mandalorian movie came in and took what we assumed was going to be the next Star Wars time slot, theatrical spot on the schedule, and now it sounds like this Jedi Prime or Dawn of the Jedi, whatever this film is called, is the next thing that this guy Simon Emanuel is working on. He's also involved in the Acolyte too, but it sounds like the Rey movie is going farther and farther and farther away, and we still haven't heard much from a very talkative person who was attached to the new Jedi Order film for some time, and that's where I'm going to stop before I get myself into trouble.
Yeah, you might get into trouble, and we're not ready to talk about some of the Star Wars movie rumors that we are working on, but folks, will be bringing it to you as soon as we can. But accuracy remains a top priority here on the Pro Channel, as well as with that Park Place. Not really sure if people even care, though, anymore. I think they do. I think that, covering Star Wars and what's happening with Star Wars, specifically with Favreau. I'm not sure about beyond Favreau, but I think people actually care about how Favreau goes out. Beyond that, though, I think people look at The Acolyte. I think people look at Jedi Prime, if that's really going to be a movie. I think they look at that and they kind of stare at it like roadkill that you can't believe the car could even run it over, but yet somehow it happened. That's sort of, I think, what happens here. But that's a story for another day.
And that's a story for what it's worth. I just looked up this guy Simon, and he is certainly a journeyman guy on the production side. Started out third unit, second unit, second assistant production manager on a lot of things, a lot of big things. But all I'm saying is he is not the creative script, story, director side. He's the nuts and bolts guy. So the idea that he's saying this basically means somebody told him, oh, that thing we're working on, this is the latest idea for a title. And that's really all he knows. So, I mean, he may have some sort of rudimentary script that he's breaking down, but he's not going to determine the way the story and the characters go. That's not his bailiwick.
That sounds accurate to me.
And we'll leave it. That's right. And we'll leave it at that, lest we get into any trouble. And folks, we have come to the end yet again, but fear not, fret not yet, for content, it is coming your way 3 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. We also have That Park Place, the YouTube channel that you should hopefully be subscribed to, as well as At That Pod Place. Just put it in, At That Pod Place. You'll find it where we keep many of our longer format stories and stuff like Genre Guys. Folks, you want to give it a try. All right, ladies and gentlemen, click like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.